Hey, it's Patti Scharf, CPA and co-founder of Catching Clouds, the leader in e-commerce accounting. Welcome back to my series on solutions for e-commerce sellers. Today I want to talk about tracking mileage. And I'm going to talk specifically about MileIQ because that's the app that I've been using for the past couple of years and I really like it. But this one goes out to all of my retail arbitrage peeps, the ones who are going from store to store to store looking for deals before they throw them up online to sell. And you need to keep track of your mileage. So let's get started. All right, before we get into this at all, I want to put out a big old fat disclaimer because I haven't done taxes in years. And I know a lot of stuff changed with Trump's tax plan for 2018 and beyond. So make sure if you have any questions, you go talk to your tax professional, your CPA, or whatnot. All right, so let's talk about mileage. For 2018, the mileage rate is 54.5 cents per mile. So if you are claiming a standard deduction for that, that means that for every mile that you drive, you're going to get to take a deduction on your tax return of 54.5 cents. Obviously, this can add up. Now, I want to make sure that everybody understands that you hear a lot of people, they go out, they buy a car for the business, and they're like, I've got this huge write-off because I bought this car in the business. But something that people don't seem to understand is that you have to track your mileage, whether you're doing actual expenses, like when you have a car and you're deducting depreciation and you're deducting all the costs related to that, or you're using the standard mileage, which is how many miles did you drive with your car, and multiply that times 54.5 cents per mile. Here's why. Because the IRS only lets you deduct the business use of your vehicle. So you need to be tracking how much business use you're using on that vehicle. And you need to be tracking how many miles you are for the standard deduction. So you're having to keep track of it either way you slice it, okay? Now, I want to talk about the standard mileage deduction in particular. That thing is, the way they come up with the rate is I don't know specifically how they do it, but what it includes is they go, on average, people spend about, I don't know, we'll say 12 cents per mile on depreciation and 5 cents per mile on repairs and maintenance. And they need this and gas and whatever. And they total up all the expenses related to a car. They come up with an estimate and they say, here, you can just estimate 54.5 cents a mile and take that as a deduction because it's easier. Or you can go get all the receipts and stuff for the car that you bought and calculate out the depreciation and, do it kind of the hard longhand way. But they want you to kind of come out roughly the same either way you do it. Your tax preparer will actually advise you. They can say, give me all the details and I'll tell you which is more beneficial for you, okay? So that's the scoop on mileage. But I've seen lots of people who, they try to buy the car, take that, and then they also take a standard deduction or, the standard mileage, for that. And it's you're double dipping and it's not pretty. So you don't want to do that. That's not good for you. And actually, while we're talking about the standard mileage rate, in case you didn't know, and this doesn't even have to do with business, but if you're tracking your mileage and paying attention to where you're driving and stuff, you should also keep track of how many miles you're spending on for medical purposes and for charitable organizations, because both of those are deductible. They're not deductible at the 54.5 cents a mile, but they're deductible at, it's 18 cents per mile for medical miles and 14 cents per mile for charitable organization miles. So pay attention to those miles too. All right, so now the question is, how do you keep track of that? What your tax preparer will tell you is go look at your odometer and write down your beginning odometer at the beginning of the year. And then every time you go for a drive, you pay attention to the odometer, keep a little book in your car and you write all that down. Or if they're in this century, then they might recommend that you get something like MileIQ. So MileIQ is what I use. What it does is it auto recognizes when you're driving somewhere, and it will ask you, hey, you just drove 27 miles. Was that for business or personal? And then you just go, oh, well, thank you for asking. And you swipe left for personal and right for business. You can also like swipe slowly, and you can pick like sub accounts, like, oh, this one is for charitable purposes, or this is just flat out personal, or if this is for a business meeting or a business meal or whatever. So it keeps track of all that stuff, whether you're paying attention to it or not. So this is great for entrepreneurs because they don't want to think about that stuff. I don't even want to think about that stuff. So I think it's a really helpful app. You can then like print out reports. When your accountant asks for you to submit your miles and stuff at the end of the month or the end of the year, you can just print out a report, email it to them, and it's super quick and easy. You can also add additional logins, so you can invite your accountant, for example, to share in your account so that they can go print reports that they need and stuff like that. So it's a pretty basic app, but it does what it needs to do, and I think it's so helpful for business owners. All right, so I want to give you a little tour around the app just because it's not that complex, so it's not going to take me very long. I'm going to start over here in the settings, and oh, they have a refer a friend. So they've got like a little referral program. So if you want to share this with other people, you can give them the link and then they'll give you some dough. Actually, in fact, I will share that link down below in case you want to check out this app. All right, so vehicles and odometers. So you can go in here and you can put in, my son actually crashed this car. So I'm going to hide this vehicle. And then you can just add new vehicles as you need to. You enter in the beginning odometer and it'll kind of figure that stuff out for you. You can set the rates and units. So in 2019, if the mileage rate changes, this is where you would go change it. It can auto-classify drives. So like if you are you've got a daytime job still and you're driving to and from the office, that is actually not deductible at all. But you can go ahead and enable that as a frequent drive, so it will automatically classify it as personal every time, so you won't have to do any swiping at all. You can also auto-classify by work hours based on what it is you're doing. Like if you never work on Saturdays, then anytime you're driving on Saturday, it's not going to recognize it, okay? And then when you get to your app, you swipe left for personal, you swipe right for business, but you can actually customize and categorize those beyond just personal and business. You can say this is for business A and business B or business C. That you can kind of break stuff up however you want to, whatever makes sense for you. All right. And then once you do the drives, it will just auto log them, and then you classify them as you need to on your phone. Swipe left or right. If you forget your phone, you can actually add a drive here and give all the details that you need to. It'll just walk you through it. It's no big deal. It'll give you a little breakdown of how much is business, how much is personal. It'll tally up all the amounts. You can do different reports based on different date ranges and all that stuff. And then you'll have something at the end of the year that you can hand off to your tax preparer and done. So it's really kind of cool. Oh, and they've got a little tour up here. So if you didn't like my tour, you can do your own tour. So I guess that's it. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll catch you later.